we listened to a beautiful message from our rabbi today as he summed up the not only the book of Bamidbar, but really even from Shemot, from the Exodus, as we were leaving, and how he had to take us, God took us through a process of decontamination of all the other gods. And it seems to me we're still in that process in the world. And one of the things that he said that it would have been a natural continuation to go from the first 4 books, ending with Bamidbar, then to Joshua. But instead, he ended up, whereas the first 4 books, God was speaking to Moses, and Moses wrote everything down that he said. But in the book of Deuteronomy, that we were going to start next week, in this book, it's how Moses himself remembers the process. So that's why we're not going to see it identical, because if I read something and then I retell the story, then obviously it's not going to be exactly the same. And he talked about how important it is for us to remember that God gives us principles, not to get caught up in the letter of what they call the letter of the law. So it's a process for our transformation, just as our journey in this going through this world is a process of transformation. And he spoke about how the best gift that we have been given is free will. And it's interesting because Miriam and I had a long talk about this yesterday. And the whole idea of which Rabbi brought up is, who is a Jew? And Miriam had like an epiphany yesterday about who is a Jew. And the Torah is really clear, but we don't see that because we've been so blinded by the religion that's been fed to us, that it's completely been reinterpreted, re-examined. And we have to take a look at it. Is the question, who is a Jew, what we need to ask? Or who is the real God? Maybe that's what we should be asking.
Or who is what, sorry?
Who is the real God?
Oh,
Who is the true God?
right.
Because once we know who the true God is, and as Rabbi said, that this was a universal message. The Torah was not given to Israel alone. We were not alone at the base of Mount Sinai. We were there with the Erev Rab, the mixed multitude. The 2 people who entered the promised land were Joshua and Caleb. One was a Jew, one was a non-native born Israelite at the time. None of the Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob married natural born Israelites. None of the leaders of the 12 tribes of Israel married native born Israelites. But one of the things that religion says, oh, these people, they converted to what? And then he talks about how nobody could convert anybody. You can't take a piece of meat and all of a sudden say, here, I'm waving a little bit of water on you, now you're a piece of fish. It just, you can't make somebody believe something. There are people who have converted to Judaism mainly because they wanted to get married to somebody Jewish, but it was never a change of heart. They weren't converting to the God of Israel. They were converting to religious practices. And if they got a divorce, the practices went out the window. So these are really important issues. He gave us a brain. He gave us free will. He wants us to think for ourselves. So, Miriam, some of the things that you were saying to me yesterday about who is a Jew, I think this is something we should look at. You want to expand on what you were thinking about?
I guess my problem, I don't have a problem with what in reality is, let's maybe reword it and say, who really worships the one God for the whole world, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob? And that has nothing to do with race, sex, locality, whether you're born in the Antarctica or you're born in Israel. So that's the number one important thing, is, are we in relationship with, there's only one God. There can't be one God for Israel and one God. I mean, that's insane. If anyone really looks at what they think, sometimes it looks like they're saying, well, you know, you have your Catholic God and I have my Jewish God. But who's the creator? So to me, that's the most important thing. You
Right.
know, there are people like even in our congregation who come, as I was saying, for the most far off places, Uganda. And I was telling you, I was just watching that thing on Madagascar, you know, and they didn't even know there was a movie Madagascar. But these people, you know, Uganda, Madagascar, they're people who have a relationship with the true God everywhere. But I guess my question is like, um, God set aside a people for a reason, you know, and he set apart a country for a reason. So my question is now, how many of us who are Jewish, we're not pure, whatever that means. We're not pure Jewish, but there must be some lineage that makes us, how do I know I'm Jewish? Because my father's fathers, 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 fathers were Jewish. So there must be something that keeps us as a nation. Otherwise, why does God keeps making promises to Israel? It's not just to those who have, I believe, who've become part of Israel, the greater Israel. There's the greater Commonwealth of Israel, which we belong to, those of us who believe in the God of Israel. But then there is a nation, and it's not an empty nation. There are people there. That was my question. Who are these people? So there must be something that we retain from the lineage of Isaac, like that makes us a Jew. I'm just thinking out loud that there has to be something that keeps a people a people. But, you know, but that's not important enough. That's not the truth enough. Even if that's true in itself, that doesn't make us a people of God. If, you know, we could, how many Jewish people, you know, are worshiping pagan gods even nowadays? So even if they are Jewish by blood, they've renounced what it means to be a Jew. I guess that I'm clearing it up in my own head because I was really confusing. I think God has made a nation that is a Jewish nation, but doesn't mean everyone in that nation is really being true to what it means to be a Jew, a praiser of God. So I guess that I'm sort of clearing up my own confusion a little bit.
Yeah.
It's a big
Absolutely.
question. What is a
It is.
Jew?
It is a bit, and
You know, it's like,
Rabbi Shul took a lot of time discussing that. You know, he talked about that, that
yeah,
there were natural branches that were, and there were those that were grafted in. That's what he's talking about.
yeah, but they're not grafted in to people who are just Jewish by,
They're
let's say,
grafted into the God of Israel.
yeah, that's more, yeah. And that's what the important thing is, even though I believe God did create a people for a purpose. And that's the thing, he created us for a purpose.
Right.
And when we lose that purpose, we sort of lose our Jewishness, whatever that means. But he did create a people for a purpose,
Yeah,
which
and
was
it's a
to
calling.
a
It's a
calling to
calling.
go to the rest of the world.
Moses had the calling. He heard clearly from God. He heard him from the bush. He heard him in his mind. He spoke face to face with God. But his two children, his two sons, didn't have that calling. You don't hear anything about them. So
Yeah,
it's not who you're born from that makes us Jewish. My parents were not interested. They were agnostic. They didn't care. They didn't want to have anything to do with any of the
yeah.
holidays, or we didn't celebrate Shabbat. We didn't have a Pesach at home. Nothing. We
I
didn't.
guess, yeah,
Yeah.
I guess the question is like, even though you know you're Jewish, you
Right.
know, you're inherited,
Right.
um,
Have a
whatever,
Jewish
it's
birth
not a race,
certificate.
but there are people who just renounce their calling and it doesn't mean anything. But
Right. My
maybe,
father would say, choose somebody else for a change. What are we chosen for? To suffer? You know, he went through the war. He
you know, it's
knows.
not potato latkes that make us Jewish, but
Exactly.
well,
Or
it helps, but
Kugel is very good. But then again, that's Ashkenazi. What if you're from Ladino? You know, you speak Ladino and you come from a Spanish country.
or Chinese. What makes a Chinese Jew? There
And
are Chinese Jews. So
exactly.
obviously there's something in the lineage, but I think the purpose of that is that lineage was meant to be a people of praisers of God. Now we're scattered.
That's what Yehuda means. The word Jew comes from Yehudim, which is from Judah, and it means the one who praises God.
Right. But so many of those people, of our people, have lost that. And
Right.
that's why our mission is still out there, because look who we have. Moshe from Uganda. We have people from all over El Salvador. So these people belong to the true Israel, which is as praisers of the only God in the universe.
Exactly. He's the only God of the universe.
It's so absurd to think otherwise. How could Catholics and Jews and who do they think they're worshiping different gods? Or
Yeah,
maybe they think their way is right and the other people's is not. I
which
mean,
is why
anyway,
eventually they turn away and they start hating the people called by God, who are the native born Israelites, the Jews.
right.
They start hating us because they come in being really nice. Oh, look what we have. We have a new God. And our God is better than your God, because our God he's kind, and he's loving, and your God is a God of war and a God of anger and a God of punishment. And when we refuse to accept their God, that's when they turn against us. And that's called anti-Semitism today. But really, anti-Semitism has nothing to do with hating a people. It's
No, it's hating, but bottom line is hating God.
hating the God of the people.
Right.
Exactly. So,
Because that's part of my question answered. It's like, yeah, people religious groups who hate us passionate. Right now it's, well, anyway,
yeah,
we're hated passionately. And obviously it's not a people, because
no,
what does it mean, a people? What
exactly.
am I born, I'm just born, there's no racial thing that makes me,
No, the only race there is the human race.
yeah,
We come from one people, from Noah and his family. We are all related.
right.
Every human being on this planet is related, no matter what we look like, no matter what language we speak, we are all related. Now, among those people, who was called by God? Were we all called, and only some choose to listen and be obedient? All those people, maybe 3 to 6 million people, Jew and Gentile, stood at the base of Mount Sinai. They all heard the voice of the Creator as he spoke the 10 Commandments, every single one of them. Some refused, they didn't want to hear. Someone had nothing to do. Moses, you speak to us. You go talk to them. Well, we don't want to hear. And it's not, and nothing has changed. How many people that you go up to who you say, do you know the 10 Commandments and what they are? And I don't want to hear. Don't, then I become responsible. It's easy for religion to say, you know what? Just follow my rules. That's what Rabbi was talking about. Just follow these rules and you'll be safe. You'll be saved. You won't go to hell. These are the doctrines that you need to follow, the principles, and then you'll be okay. But that's not what God said. God said nobody, and they say, well, this person or this animal died so you could be saved. That's not what the Torah says. There is no one who could die for us. Moses was ready to give his life. Moses, you can't, Sari says you can't hear me.
No
Miriam,
se oye.
sí, Miriam, can you hear me?
Yeah, I
Sí,
hear
sí,
you.
es tuyo, Sari. Es tu computador. Porque Miriam me escuche.
Est-ce que
I don't
la
know why.
volume, ta volume est assez haut?
Something
Your
happened.
volume is high, Sarai?
She can't hear.
Ya,
Oh.
ya lo escucho.
Okay, yeah.
Gracias.
It's okay. It's okay.
I guess
Anyway,
also, aside from what you just said is true, but to me, the bottom line is because it's obvious people who don't keep the commandments and go out and do whatever they want and party and sleep with whatever, that we all know, that's obvious. But there are people who follow the Ten Commandments. I told you I was grew up with what was called the Golden Rule. Not
Right.
that I was so golden, believe me, I wasn't.
Yeah.
But to me, there was a moral code. And a lot of people I knew had a moral code. But to me, the ultimate thing is, what about the first commandment? How many people can say they walk with God?
Yeah.
They might, well, they say, I don't steal, I don't commit adultery, I don't covet, I lead a simple life, but God, Shema, who's God, who knows? So I'm
Exactly.
saying, to me, that's the real issue, because there are moral people of all sorts.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And so it's not,
And the fact that even the fourth commandment, which is the Shabbat, most people would say the Gentiles don't need to keep the Shabbat.
right,
They just keep the Noahide laws. But it has nothing to do with being saved. It has to do with God covering us, God protecting us. The fourth commandment is a sign that God exists, that the God
but
of
that's the
Israel
point.
exists. Yeah.
If you don't believe the first commandment that there's even a God, it's more than morality. That's my point. It's obvious about, other things, I think. And even the idea of somebody else dying, blah, blah, blah. But even those people, a lot of them well, they don't keep all the commandments, but they're very moral people. But to
Right.
me, it's even bigger than morality.
Yeah.
And
Not only that, but that God speaks to us, guides us, protects us, directs us, provides for us, no matter what we're going through, because we're so human. And there's no way that we can be perfect all the time. It's impossible. We cannot be perfect, but we can be good enough. And he says, he keeps saying, come to me and I will protect you. If you do this, this, and this, I will protect you. It's like you live under the roof of your parents and they pay the rent, they send you to school, they provide food for you, they take care of you. But the minute you say, you know what, I don't want to be under you anymore, I'm moving out. I want to do things my own way, just like the prodigal son that Yeshua spoke about. And he wasted everything. But when you go back home, your parents are there for you again. They'll take you in. And it's like our God. He's always waiting for us. It's marvelous. It's really
yeah,
absolutely too much to even fathom for us how blessed we are. And,
yeah,
and that's why our free will is so important, because he gave us the choice, choose life, choose death, do good, do wrong. And then there are consequences. So it's not complicated. It's just not easy.
no.
Yeah.
Well, if you don't have the first, I keep going back to this, and maybe I'm just projecting my own life,
Oh,
but
that's
to
all we can
me,
do. That's all we can do is project our own lives. I
yeah,
can
but I
project
mean,
yours.
to me, the question, if you don't have the first commandment, and a lot of people are very, do follow,
But the
try and
first
be more,
commandment, you didn't say what it is. It isn't have no other gods. I am the God who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of slavery. Have no other gods. So he's very clear in defining who he is. He's the Yud He Vav He who stood on Mount Sinai, who brought us out of Egypt.
right,
It's that, no other God.
no, right. No, it's true, but I'm saying, anyway, I guess I'm responding to what you said, that it's, a lot of people don't, I mean, it's hard to be, they don't want to be accountable to a God, or they don't keep the Ten Commandments. Oh, what's
Right.
wrong if I do this, do that? But ultimately, what I'm just trying to say is it's not that the commandments are so hard, but it's, who's this God, Shema? A lot of people say, well, I'm a good person, and they could follow, well, they can follow, let's say, 8 out of the 10 commandments, but it's the first one and the Shabbat, it's that they don't follow.
Right. And it has nothing to do with us really rejecting God, because we can, but it has, it was so clear in my head just a minute ago. Like, God doesn't turn away from us just because we don't do those things. He allows us to suffer the consequences of not doing that, but he's always our God. And he's
Yeah.
always waiting. Like I was just listening to the story of Hosea this morning, the prophet who was told to marry a prostitute, who kept running after false men, after all these other men. He had many children with her, but she kept going to other men, and he just was told, keep loving her, keep accepting her, keep bringing her back. And he always accepted his wife in the end. And that's the bottom line of those of us who've been called and who run after false gods. It's like he says about Israel, you're whoring after false gods. You're saying to an idol, to a golden calf, you are my God.
Yeah.
And when we do that, we can live a moral life, but if we're following the wrong God, we're going to suffer consequences. But it doesn't mean he rejects us, and it doesn't mean he doesn't give us the way back home, which is
Right.
wonderful. And it's a process. Learning how to walk with him is a process. It's not easy, and it's sometimes we feel like we're going through the same thing over and over and over again. I see that in my life.
Yeah.
And then we get through, and we're at a little bit of higher level, a little more understanding, a little more wisdom. Doesn't make us a better person. We may act better, but God loves each of us equally. And he just is constantly there for us. So
Just something,
Yes.
okay, this doesn't really have to be on tape, it's only because we're on the Zoom. Even though I'm not that close to the computer, I'm not further closer than you are. Why is my head so prominent? How
well,
do-
I was thinking the same thing. Why do I look like I'm so far away when I'm pretty close to the computer? I don't know. Maybe it's the camera, maybe it's the type of computer that
maybe my laptop has to be higher up or
No.
something.
I don't think so.
Anyway, because I'm like huge.
Yeah, and I feel so small in the background. Well, maybe God is telling us something. I don't know. Anyway, en tout cas, I want to wish everybody a wonderful rest of Shabbat. We have to continue to pray for each other, pray for Sari to find a job, to find a way of earning a living, Sari, that the next days will be easier for you. We pray that God will protect you and watch over you. Isabel, we pray for you, that your
Yes.
health, pray for me and my health, because I've been still struggling since last October. God keeps showing me things, but I just really need to feel well. Pray for Baruch, for Rhonda, Etid, Moshe, the Alvarados, for all of them.
Thank you so much.
Santi.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat
Shabbat
shalom, everyone. Ciao.
Shabbat shalom y Shabbat tov.
Shavua tov.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, everyone.
Bye, abrazos.
Bye.
Abrazos a ti.